Well, good morning, peoples. We are in the middle of the high holy days and didn't get raptured. Darn. Sure would have liked it. Nope, we're still here to struggle and fight the good fight of faith. So, that being the case, instead of getting wrapped up in, I'll give you an example, but we're not going to stay wrapped up in it for too long. I have a motorcycle, um, and it's been sitting in my garage for the best part of 6 years, I think. So at one point, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm just going to sell it. I put it on Facebook Marketplace to sell, and I get all these complaints from a person. Your name is Cassandra, okay? I don't know who you are. I think I probably met you at work, and you took offense to my not being interested in you or something. But Cassandra, you have reported me for being all sorts of things every time I try to rent a room or sell anything. And most of the time you just convince me that I don't want to rent to anybody or sell my stuff. So thank you for that. But what I really want to talk about today is this idea of being narcissistic um, versus empathic versus codependent. So there's a lot of stuff being thrown around lately about, if you aren't taking other people's feelings into account. You'll hear this from immature social workers, immature nurses, and immature teachers. And by what I mean by immature is I mean emotionally immature, or they may even be narcissistic themselves. So it's real easy to point your finger at people and say, "Oh, you're an egoist. You're a narcissistic." Narcissistic, I'm reading to you, is defined as vain, in love with oneself, admiring, self-loving, wrapped up in oneself, which, from a religious point of view, is most of humanity, right? Because all are self-seeking, and don't serve the Lord. The opposite of that, as near as I can tell, is empathy, or at least the way we do it nowadays. We say it's empathy, and empathy is the ability to share the feelings of another. Sharing someone's feelings, though, is not the same as being codependent. Codependence is the situation where you actually believe that the other person's feelings that you're sharing are your feelings too, and then the two of you act in a way that, well, whatever this is, you're doing it all together, going through life together. Now, is that a bad thing? Only if you don't want to. People are going to jump in and, no, only if you don't want to. I don't want to. So to me, it is a bad thing. Um, a healthy empathy is the ability to have honest, open conversations with people, and then not see them for a year or two, and then do it again. That means you're not codependent, and that means you're living your own lives, and that means you have these honest moments, which to this other idea of empowered empath, or maybe even a super empowered empath, is someone who's actually done the emotional work, the spiritual work, of healing their wounds, not dumping their wounds onto somebody else, not blaming their boss, not blaming the corporation they work for, et cetera, and just doing that yourself, and then being not just comfortable with who you are. I don't like that. I very much like who I am, and I very much am beginning to realize that if other people don't appreciate you, then stop wasting your time trying to get them to see the real you. That's not going to work. If anything, you're going to put people into a position where they feel cornered and have to fight you, and so bad. So we've had a couple of examples of that in work environments and in religious institutions. If you're the type of person who says you hear the voice of God, I promise you the voice of God is not telling you to do something against someone's will or force them to feel how they don't feel or force them to grow up in order to fill your needs, okay? So you might be a narcissist if you think that's what other people are here for. The real truth is that if you're an empath, you're actually here to serve other people. And you're going to have to get to a point where whether or not I'm not telling you to sacrifice yourself. That's not what I'm saying. You don't, if you're in a situation where you're being abused by your employer or the company, because companies, the average company, let me just paint it like this. We have known for decades and decades and decades and decades that, for instance, if you're in a classroom situation, you can only absorb 50 minutes of learning and then you need a 10-minute break. They've done studies in Sweden, for example, where they have nurses do 6-hour shifts and they find that they're much more productive and they only have them work 24 hours a week. But what's the standard in the US? 12-hour shifts, 3 days a week, no breaks. So what I'm saying is the average corporation is probably 40 years behind where you want to be. And the idea that you're going to get the corporation to catch up is ludicrous, and you will only end up in endless court battles. And you will get sucked back in. So you need to find a way to enjoy your life and contribute what you've been put on this planet to contribute, which is the uplifting of all of humanity through your good works. It really helps to be in line with Yeshua Mashiach. And he's the paradigm, okay? And so are the apostles. If they hated them, they're going to hate you, and you've got to do it anyway. And you're going to have to be on your own most of the time. Your circle of friends that you can actually trust is going to be very, very tiny. And you're going to have to understand that you're going to run into a lot of people who are not emotionally in tune enough to pick up on where you actually are. And they're going to mislabel you all sorts of things. And the last thing you want to do is try to defend yourself. Okay, so just drop it and walk away. Whatever it is. And if you're truly empathic, you don't even need to hear the other person speak a single word. You should be able to read their subtle microsecond, nanosecond body language and know if you should be interacting with that person. It's that simple. So stop second guessing yourself and realize that you have an ability that other people either don't have or don't want or deny, okay? And realize that you can't do much with that. And then find the people who you can do that with, interact honestly with. And if you can manage to do that, you will run into an array of empathic people who haven't quite developed yet, haven't realized what's going on. I was talking to a young woman today, very honest, very direct, and you know those are traits that the world hates. To be honest with you, the world hates honesty. They hate directness because all you have to do is scratch the surface of most people operating in the world, and you get very quickly to the reality that they're lying to themselves, lying to their loved ones. And, all of this to function in this Babylonian world system. You don't have to function in the Babylonian world system. You can be in the world and not of it. So I suggest people do that. And there's one or two times a year that I actually love the place where I currently worship. But I can see the writing on the wall. Twice a year, it's wonderful for a week or 10 days. And I very much enjoy that. I'm definitely at a juncture in my life where I have to decide how much that little bit is worth, because it's hours in a day. But it is worth something. So the thing about a highly empowered empath is you're going to know who you are, and you're going to know what you want, and you're going to know your own internal morality, regardless of what the rest of the world is doing. And I'm just here to tell you that you are not going to be able to talk the rest of the world into anything, so don't even try. If people aren't in alignment with you, if they can't sense you and come up to you and be beside you, they're either immature and still growing, okay, and maybe check back in a decade, 2-3 years, a decade, they might have, or you're too much for them, and that's, well, both those things are just fine, or they're on the dark side, meaning they don't want to emotionally grow up and mature, and you are just being a projective mirror for their negative fears. So either way, you're going to be painted as you're going to be gaslit, and you're going to be painted as the enemy. And that's what fear-based people do. Is fear-based people turn you into the enemy. Okay, so you don't even need to be a part of that. And why would you want to be a part of that? And if you're into this, well, I got to sacrifice my health, my wealth, my mental well-being, anything, in order for that to be accomplished. I'm telling you that he already died on the cross for all of that, and nobody else can do what he did. So stop trying. So eat right, exercise, avoid the toxic foods that make you stupid. The air, the foods, and maybe the thinking of the Babylonian world system. And go out there, be a spiritual warrior. It doesn't matter if people know or not. So go out there and be your best be. Be the best you can be. Continue to pray for the peace of Israel. Continue to pray for the United States, that people actually do wake up, because that's what we're involved in, is whether people can wake up. You don't need to overthrow the government. You just need to wake up. And in the very waking up, you will change other people when they wake up. Like, oh, no, I guess I don't want to drink food that is laced with poison. Okay, it's poison. If it's got chemicals and you don't know what they are, then it's not something that's naturally occurring, and it's probably not good for you to ingest. And if you just eat clean for 1, 2, or 3 days and then try to go back to something that you ate before that wasn't clean, you'll find that out very quickly when you can't get out of bed for 12 to 18 hours. So those are my little bits that I want to communicate to the people of the planet today. And I wish you all shalom, shalom. Oh, I will say one thing. You'll find that these toxic systems are in churches as well. Even the best ones, because everybody's still growing. And so that may be why you're getting tossed out, is you're a projective mirror to people who right now they're just fear-based and they don't know any better. So cut them loose. God bless.